Hello and welcome to the Pickup WNBA podcast. I'm your host, Cathryn Niker.
And I'm your other host, Freddie Rivas. What's up?
And this is episode 109, baby.
Hey,
109.
109. Friends, listeners, everybody, follow us on all of the things. We are on Twitter. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram at the WNBA Pickup. Check us out. Like, subscribe.
I feel
Enjoy.
like you blanked there.
I did. My head's a big blank machine, to be honest.
It's a big blank machine.
I blank.
Here to tell us more with some blanks.
Lots of interruptions in my brain constantly, and I gotta push through them. Sometimes I get full hard stop. It's a life.
ADHD life.
ADHD life. It's exciting. It's frustrating. It's a good time.
Before we start, just a few show notes here. Want to give a shout out to our social media extraordinaire person, Karina Mustafa. She's been helping us out the last couple months, helping us get our YouTube together and all of that. She is moving on to bigger and better things. We're all very proud of her and excited for her. So congrats, Karina. We're super excited for you and can't wait to see how things unfold for you in the future. With that being said, we are also now looking for a social media person. We thought we would put it out to you, the listeners. If you or you may know someone who is interested, please reach out to us. You can DM us on Instagram or Twitter, or Freddie and I are both personally on Blue Sky. Our handles are on the YouTube page, but I'll say them out loud. So mine is it's me _Cathryn, which is spelled CATHRYN. And Freddie?
Mine is Freddie Noel Rivas, my name. So hit me up.
And we'll put it in the show notes as well for this episode to make things easier for you to copy and paste. But yes, let us know. And, we're looking forward to finding someone else to join our team.
Yeah. And just huge thanks to Karina. It was incredible to work with her, and she's amazing. And if you're in the WNBA world, you probably already know about Karina. She's fantastic. We're very excited for her, and she's not going to be a stranger. So Karina, thank you. You're awesome.
Yeah. All right, shall we get started?
Let's get into it. It's gonna be a juicy episode. There's a lot going on in the W.
So the Valkyries draft happened.
Yes.
And some surprising picks, some predictable picks. Who do you want to start with first, Freddie?
Well, yeah, maybe I'll do a little bit of a list here of all the players, and then we can sort of pop off on who we think the bigger deal players are. Mm-hmm. So from the Atlanta Dream, Ileana Rupert. From the Chicago Sky, Maria Conde. From the Connecticut Sun, Veronica Burton. From the Dallas Wings, Carla Late. From the Indiana Fever, Temi Fagbenle. From the Las Vegas Aces, Kate Martin. From the Los Angeles Sparks, Stephanie Talbot. From the Minnesota Lynx, Cecilia Zandalicini. From the New York Liberty, Kayla Thornton. From the Phoenix Mercury, Monique Billings. And from the Washington Mystics, Julie Van Loo. Very notable burn to the Seattle Storm, who were the only team that the Valkyrie did not choose a player from. So
First of all, I gotta congratulate you on pronouncing all of those names right.
Thank you.
There's a lot of growth here. I feel like
I'm getting better.
You might have practiced in the mirror. I don't know, but you really
in the mirror. Yeah.
You really got those names down.
I also put on my my Heath Ledger Joker makeup in the mirror, and was absolutely terrifying. No, I appreciate it.
As you learned the names.
As I learned the names, I was terrifying. Cathryn, I mean, I got a lot of little things. This is such a unique process. So I don't know. Do you want to start? Should I start?
No, take it away.
Well, let me start with, I think the very, the super unique parts of this where it only happened to one team or only happened to one player, blah blah blah. I think deserves, it's noteworthy. So
Mm-hmm.
Monique Billings, only
Mm-hmm.
free agent in this process. So everyone else was a member of a team that was not cord. I think also me and you had some discussion last week when we did our draft. Thanks for everyone for listening to that. And we actually did get some feedback that if this is boring and nerdy to us, then consider me boring and nerdy. So
Oh,
yeah. So
great.
shout out to those folks. But yeah, so Monique Billings only FA here. And yeah, so I think I'll put my hand up. I was a little bit confused. One thing I was confused about this draft was that I thought they could select multiple players from a particular team. That is incorrect. So it was
So
only
the
one.
style we did it was actually correct.
Yeah, yeah, we nailed it. Thanks to you for calling an audible last week. But yeah, so you could only do one player per team. And yeah, so I think that's notable. Also, funny note too, um, the presenters of this were Baron Davis, E40, and professional golfer. I just had her name a second ago. Michelle. I'm gonna just Google it quickly because I want to make sure I pronounce her name. Um, but yeah, the presenters. Me and you both thought it was kind of funny that it wasn't the GM, and it was kind of like
Yeah.
San
I mean,
Francisco
I think it's cool that
celebs.
you have them there, but you would have thought that the GM would actually like ring in this new era
Mhm.
and then be like, okay, to present, so and so, so and so, like at least like host the event.
I
You know
think
what
so
I mean?
too. Yeah, or I feel like have a more, because it's someone that the fans and the league are going to have to know very well. So I kind of assume we get a larger intro
Yeah,
to the
to like
GM.
the actual like team, like who these people are, like the coach, you know what I mean? Maybe like the ownership. I'm sure they were all there, but I just thought they'd have a more on camera presence. Although I did like the guests, like they were all great, but I just mean like having them be part of it more. And maybe like they were and it was like part of like a pre-show or something that we didn't catch because we saw
Hmm.
it on YouTube afterwards, but you know, I just thought they would have had a larger presence.
I agree. Michelle Wee West, by the way,
There you go.
is the professional golfer.
Very cool.
So yeah, that all of this expansion stuff is so rare and it's one of a kind. And
Well, not except not rare suddenly, as we're gonna have two
yes,
next year.
very
But
true.
it's been a long time for sure.
Yeah, it's been rare for most leagues, to be honest. Like, the WNBA, if please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but their last expansion team was 2008,
Yes, I believe
and
that's correct.
most of the major leagues, you know what? Sorry, the NHL has expanded recently, but I think for having most of our listeners be from
Yeah, that's not
the
our
U.S.,
world. Yeah, that's
it's
not our world.
no offense to the NHL, but they are not quite the level of some of the other major leagues. Let's jump to the players. So is there a player who right away you're like, okay, hold on, let's talk about her. Like, this is a big deal that the Valkyries got her.
Well, on the broadcast, they were talking a lot about the Fever's Temi Fagbenle.
Hmm.
I hope I said that right. And they talked specifically about her chemistry with Caitlin Clark and that they were surprised she wasn't cord. I thought that was really interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what direction the Fever might go in this coming season in terms of any like player movement,
Hmm.
but she's a center. She's 32, she's 6'4". Her average is 6.4 points, 4.7 rebounds, just shy of 1 assist a game. Um, and then it's funny too because they were like, "Well, we're surprised she wasn't court," and then on the broadcast at the same time, they were like, "This team still needs a center." So I'm assuming she's going to be a backup center. I don't know if they have their eye on another center either through free agency or through the draft because it's funny because we said like the Seattle Storm thing was a bit of like a burn, but I'm also like, I think they're just trying to give themselves space to maybe sign a free agent.
Yeah, that's a really key point here. Another part of this draft was that it was a surprise that they didn't make any trades. And we talked about this a ton during our draft last week, which is strategy, right? Like, are they going to make a bunch of trades? Are they signing players that they feel like are going to be a part of the team long term? There's a really good ESPN article sort of like going through the strategy, and they have $1.2 million in cap space, which is the most out of any team in the league other than the Sun. So this team has a lot of spending money, and they can do a lot with the players they have. And they at least are saying up front that they want to be good right away. So I don't think they have the intention of kind of starting off. And we talked about this last week too. I don't think they have the intention of starting off as a bad team. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they're playing to win. And yeah, from the Fever perspective, I don't really get it either. Feg Bentley played her way into the starters very quick and had an
Right.
immediate connection with Caitlin Clark. So if I'm a Fever fan, I'm kind of bummed about this.
Yeah,
I mean,
and like, yeah, I agree. I mean, they're gonna have to they're gonna have to figure something out now because centers are hard to come by. And one player that didn't get picked, who we talked about last week, who I thought might have a chance of getting selected, was Alyssa Peely.
mhm.
For the same reason, right? Like I just thought like she would be like a really cool young center to get like an opportunity on a team like this. So um yeah, maybe she ends up being in trade talks with other teams, or we'll see what happens there, but there's not a lot of centers available. So yeah, the Fever, they're definitely going to have a spot to fill for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Peely too, because that's just a reminder to our listeners that we won't ever get to know unless there's a leak who was and wasn't cored. I guess we'll
Right.
know who wasn't cored from the players selected, but we don't know what other players weren't cored. So Peely, for instance, Minnesota might have said, "Hey, she wasn't a big part of our finals run, but this is a player we want to have long term, so she's cored." And I think there's like a money roster balancing thing.
Yeah, that
There's
would
just
be
so
kind of
many moving
wild if they
parts.
cored her, I think. That would be pretty wild. Cuz
I think so.
I mean, yes, we all believe in her potential, but it's like she was essentially playing like garbage time even throughout the season. She didn't get like much of a chance.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things that's so complicated about this whole process, it's kind of like a galaxy brain thing, is
Mhm.
yes, there's the Valkyrie strategy. What are they doing? Who'd they select? But then also we get small glimpses into other teams and how they strategize and what they're prioritizing. And I really mean it, small glimpse, because we don't actually get to fully know.
Right.
But yeah, we talked about this as well. Minnesota, I think they were better faster than they thought they were going to be.
Yes, of
So
course.
if you're the Lynx, how much of your future are you mortgaging? Like if you're the Liberty and the Aces, and even the Mercury, you have these like aging superstars. Not that like the Aces are old or anything, but you have these superstars in their prime who you want to make sure that they win now. And again, not that Collier's obviously in her prime, but I mean from a perspective of like what is your short and long term, Minnesota's an interesting one because how much are they focused on the here and now versus yeah,
Yeah,
long term as well.
they drafted Cecilia Zan Delasini. Yeah,
Yep.
I did that right, just
Yeah, you got
slower.
it. You got it. You're like,
From
"I slowed it down."
from Italy. She averaged 4.6 points a game, 1.2 rebounds, 1 assist essentially. 28 forward. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe they did core her. Maybe they did court Peely. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to see these players get a chance. We should talk about Kate Martin because
Yeah,
she was a big topic on our podcast too. Because that was it Kevin Pelton's article that we read?
it was. Yeah, that was our
Yeah,
base of like
and
who's going to be
and
cored.
yeah, and he thought she was going to be cored, and we disagreed. We were like, Kate Martin's going to get. She's not going to get cored, and she is going to get selected, and
Cathryn
that did
Freddie,
happen.
do it again. This is our
Listen,
Angel Reese
we're
moment.
not right often, so when we are, it's like we gotta celebrate, you know?
Yeah, I no, it's super
I mean, we were
fascinating.
disagreeing with like, a bright mind of the game, right? Someone who is like full time for a living in this. So that's bold to do that, but we did, and then you know they picked her, and she got a huge roar, which was kind of notable because
Mhm.
it's more for the fact that she's a fan favorite than it is her actual numbers. But I love that she was available. She was like there getting
Yes.
interviewed. It's
Yes,
like they
okay, I'm
all
glad you brought that
knew.
up.
It was like they all
Okay.
knew.
Okay, yeah, this, it's funny, we were chatting before the podcast, like, there's so many angles here, right? So, like, what's the driving force of or, a little how the sausage is made? Like, what's the driving force of this particular conversation, like the Valkyries? And there's just so many ways that you can splinter off. But I'm glad you brought that up because we didn't talk about that. And I thought I had all those same thoughts. A, it's a big deal that they didn't core Kate Martin. B, wow, she was available pretty quick. Did she know? Right. And then also, C, I love this because this is to me like this is like athlete confidence 101. When she was
Mm.
interviewed, she was like, how do you envision yourself? That sort of thing. And she was really happy about the chance and the opportunity, etc. And she described herself as being able to guard teams, second and sometimes first options. So I was kind of like, wow, okay. So when you play the aces, you're going to guard Asia?
I
You know
can't
what I mean?
wait.
Like, again, I'm not saying she can't. I'm just saying like that to me, I love that athlete
She
confidence
might be
where,
well, she could get switched on Asia, but she's probably gonna guard like Kelsey Plum or something.
yeah, I'm sure she's not going to guard like bigs, but like, yeah, to me, that's just, I just love that. I love when an athlete is so confident and they're just, when they're asked the question, there's no irony there or there's no humor. They genuinely are like, no, I'm gonna. And she even reflected on her own ceiling, saying that it's like she has a
I have
much
no
much higher.
ceiling.
I have no ceiling, which I'm like, oh man, fuck. Like, she was confident enough to make the aces
Yeah.
roster, right? So she's clearly really, really good.
I one thing I want to say again about the broadcast is I do think ESPN knew, and it wasn't just because of the Kate Martin interview. It was the fact that they had specific clips from the
Hmm.
season with all these players that they refer to when talking about their game, and
Yeah.
then we're referring to those clips. So like even before the interview happened, I was like they had the list already. I'm not saying they knew who was cord or not cord, but they had the list because that takes time to prep. Because I know a little how the sausage is made from a broadcasting perspective. So they definitely had the list in advance, which is
Which to
also unique because that doesn't exist in like a draft.
no.
You know what I mean? So with an expansion draft, they knew.
Yeah, that is a fascinating thing. And I think they made the right decision because in this scenario, that means like, in a draft, no one knows anything, right? Because everything's like secret right up until the last second, right? You want people to
And
guess.
it's hard because you got to know about everybody
Mm-hmm.
in case they come up. You can't be caught like off guard being like, I don't know who this is.
Whereas this, I don't think I don't think they wanted to disrespect the players getting drafted by being like, Ileana Rupert. I think they wanted to
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
good idea of what this player was going to bring to the table.
Except we disrespected her by using her as an example.
Shit. Rupert fans, come at me. My bad. But yeah, I think that's hilarious. I do think you're right though, and that this to me is fun because it's kind of like an agreed upon cone of silence for a little
Mhm,
while, because it's
mhm.
like they had to give them the names and be like, okay, this is for your broadcasting's sake, right? Like this is so that you can make this like a fun, watchable thing. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of not very watchable, because they also, the four different guests, the San Francisco guests that read off the players drafted, they went fast. Like it's
Mm.
not like they're like, you have 1 minute on the board. They just went alphabetical, and it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, next person, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, this was clearly, I think you're right. They clearly made a bunch of programming, broadcast decisions, and logistical decisions before this ever got going.
Mhm. Um, yeah, was there anyone else we wanted to mention in terms of who was of note?
Yeah, I think for me the last, Monique Billings I think is big. I also feel like Stephanie Talbot was, is a good player, and the other one to me is Kayla Thornton. I
Yeah.
thought, yeah, Kayla Thornton is like is a substantial player to have on this team.
Yeah,
Again,
and a big loss for the Liberty.
huge loss for the Liberty, and this is, we were wondering who they were going to take from the Liberty, and we both went Vandersloot, and I think that perhaps the logic
She
there.
was Cord.
Yeah, she was maybe core, but she also maybe was, a little bit older than the Valkyries might have wanted to go for.
Yeah, because
Right?
we knew we had a sense that they were going to go for a combination of young players and vets, which they did, but they didn't go with veterans as old as Vandersloot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So, yeah,
and Kayla's still 32. And then the last little thing I will say that we did talk about before the pod was that this is they went with 7 international players. So out
hmm,
of they took 11 players, and only 4 of them were not international players. This is a league that, the international impact's growing, but it's a very American league,
yeah,
and I think that it's a statement for Golden State to say, hey, immediately off the bat, we're the most international team in the league, and also we believe in international talent. So you think about stuff like prioritization and all the kind of like league machination stuff. The Valkyries are saying that's not a concern for us. We're willing to navigate this. We're going to do this. So
hmm.
from a ownership perspective, that's interesting to me, because you think about all these players who are for prioritization and, kind of wanted not to punish their players, but they really wanted that control. This is Golden
You
State
mean teams? Because I don't think any players
teams.
for it. Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, yeah. This is teams saying, hey, we are very player forward. People are going to love playing for us, because 2 of them are French players, right? So it's like, hey, if you're playing in the French league and you're going to be a little bit late, that's all good. So
yeah.
that to me was a statement, a Golden State statement coming into this league, which is to me a really positive one.
I agree. Are we ready to change the tempo
We
here?
are. Huge segue.
Oh my god. Thank
Huge segue.
you. So this week, the Toronto team got leaked. For maybe some of our American listeners who may have not or may have missed it, somebody took a screenshot from the WNBA website where the name Toronto Tempo was in a drop down menu, and it kind of went viral. And we were like, oh, it's the Toronto Tempo now. And then next thing we knew, within, 24 hours, we got the release of the logos and the colorway and everything. And Freddie and I were talking a little bit about this online just with each other, already disagreeing with each other,
Mm-hmm.
which we do agree on many things. So uh we've had a few days though to let it like sink in. I think there's always like the initial like shock of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is it. So a few days later, you've had a chance to sit on it. Freddie, you were more positive on it than I was to start. Not that I'm completely negative on it.
Uh-huh.
How are you now?
Yeah, well, I mean, not to go all half measure here, but I'm here for the critiques as well. There's a lot of valid critiques of this team name and then also the logo. But just as far as like, like kind of a big opinion to get us started, I feel like this is a hot take based on the online rhetoric, but it's a good name. It's a good name and it's going to age well. It has a lot of the things I personally like about sports names, which to me is no animal, right? Too many animals. Peace out. It also has, it's ambiguous and weird, which I think is good. I think for a lot of people, they see that as bad. Like it's a meaningless thing. For me, when you have like something ambiguous, you can then later put meaning onto it. So it can sort of grow into itself as opposed to being a thing where people are like, I immediately understand this.
Yeah, so, like Trailblazers or something.
Trailblazers to me is one of the best, basketball names out there. It's incredible. I think, so those are for me like the overwhelming positives. And then, from a phonetic, like alliteration standpoint, Toronto Tempo works as a name that you can chant. That also works. Let's go Tempo.
Yep.
It's not clunky. It's not awkward. It's also easy to pronounce. So I think they hit a lot of the basic, most important things. However, I feel like the hot take internet sphere, it didn't catch a lot of people's imagination. So,
well, they fumbled because it was leaked. They fumbled the bag in terms of like being able to launch this to us the way they wanted to. Right? Because they could have done, like, they were probably planning like a whole video and this, that, and the other, sort of like explaining the decision, not necessarily just like somebody sitting there telling us why, but I mean, like through like, images of the city and this, that, and the other, right? Like they probably were planning to like, present this to us in a certain way, and then it didn't go that way for them. So I think like, I agree in that the name at first I was just confused by it because I didn't get the connection to the city. But I agree with the points you've made, Freddie, and I do think this name will age well. And I think there's different ways to interpret it. And Teresa Resch, who's the team president, did an interview, and she was talking about the pace of the city and like the movement of the city, and that I liked. Sorry about that. I should have muted myself, but I'm not a professional. And
we cough here.
We cough on this podcast.
Yeah, come on now.
I think there's a lot of potential to incorporate things about this city into the name and look of Tempo. I'm not personally a fan of the logo. And the more I think about it, the colorway, which is this like light, like icy soft blue over this like dark burgundy purple color. Like I don't know what to call this exact shade of purple. I was calling it maroon, but I realized looking at it more, it really is more purple than it is red.
Yep.
I like the colors on its own. Like just looking at them, it's like, okay, I get it. I like it. I know they'll make nice merch out of it. Roots is a merch partner. I think Roots is going to do a great job with the merch. But the colors themselves, to me, don't scream Tempo. Like when I think of Tempo, I think, movement, I think music. I would have pictured like a brighter color, like almost like a lime green on like a gray, or some sort of other like bright color or bright color combination. And I feel like these colors are very muted for a word like Tempo.
That's a great point. And I think, where I have a lot of optimism for the name, I have less optimism for the logo because, some of the biggest rips that came out right away are very true.
Yeah, like it looks like the Pacers. It looks like New Balance.
Yeah, and you were the first person to say that to me about the Pacers, and I'm like, damn. Like, not only does it look like the Pacers, conceptually, it is like the Pacers, right?
Yeah, and also the meaning of the word is like the Pacers.
It is, yeah. So
Right?
keeping
Like
pace, keeping
I
tempo.
wish I could wave a
Ouch.
magic wand, go back in time and rename the Indiana Fever Tempo, because that goes with Pacers.
That's true. That's true.
Right? Like that would have made sense. Because those teams, I believe, are connected.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, they are
Right? Like
same
the
ownership.
Raptors team is not connected via ownership
They're not, no.
to the Tempo. But yeah, to me, I wish I could do that because I don't like the Indiana Fever name, although, ship has sailed on that, obviously. But like I think it will grow on us. You're right about the chanting. It will be a good name to chant. I'm just not a huge fan of the colorway in relation to the word tempo, and I think the logo needs some work.
I think so too. I also feel like I haven't heard anyone say this yet, but you can change the complete logo as much as you want, really.
Oh, and we've seen it with the Raptors,
Yeah, you
right?
can't
Because
change the name.
people were clowning on
You
this
can, I guess.
dinosaur for, back in the 90s and early 2000s, like for so long, calling it Barney, this, that, and the other. And then in the Vince Carter era, just completely removed the dinosaur from the jersey entirely, right? And it was just the colors. And then, yeah, there were still the Raptors. And then it was just like a basketball kind of claw. It took a long time before we embraced the dinosaur again. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. You can't change the name, but you can change the logo. You can change the colors over time. So,
And I think the Raptors are a funny example because they became this nostalgia jersey based on what happened and who Vince Carter was and
right.
how a lot of players grew up, idolizing him. And I think that really sort of like made the Raptors this kind of silly, jokey name that was like, wait a second, are they Barney? And
Yeah, yeah.
people kind of coming around and being like, hell yeah, they're Barney. And
As
you know what I
we
mean?
got older, as the Barney generation
Yeah.
got older. Yeah.
So, but I think another valid critique that I saw of this is this name or this logo looks AI generated. And I thought that was a good burn because the logo is sort of, yeah, like you said, it's muted. It's kind of like, it's not particularly bold. It's really, I don't know. It's like kind of like milk toast. It's like, it's actually in that sense, it's kind of Toronto because if you're from Toronto, we're a very apologetic place. We're just happy to be there. We're an international city that is incredible and multicultural, but also in Canada, people are like, fuck you, Toronto. And then also amongst the US, people are like, oh yeah, Toronto. I think we don't really have we're kind of our own place. Like we don't fully belong anywhere. So
Yeah, and then because of that, we have a lot of like, please like us energy. Like, please
big
validate
time.
us, rest of the
Yes.
world, which I find very annoying.
Yeah, and a lot of Torontonians are like, "Hey, if I make fun of myself first, you can't make fun of me." And then,
And then Kendrick is like,
yeah,
I will write songs making fun of you in your hometown.
yeah, and then
Drake
I will
forever. And it's like,
go on tour.
we don't even want Drake to represent us. Like, come on, we
Yeah,
don't actually feel
exactly.
this way.
Well, yeah, and then Kendrick will
Oh.
be like, "I'm gonna go on tour with SZA, and I'm gonna make a stop in Toronto, and the tickets are gonna be very expensive, and everyone there is going to chant anti-Drake songs, and guess what? They will." So yeah, Toronto does have this kind of aura of like, oh God, please like us. But all that said, I really think they nailed a lot of the most important things with the name. And we will see, some of the early merch coming out. Like one of them is a kind of classic logo of a woman doing a layup, and the color pattern for it is
Well,
really
it
cool.
was the WNBA logo, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
sorry, yeah, it's the W logo,
But
which
it has a different colorway on it.
yes, and we've been over this before, but is the logo Is it
It's
Lisa?
just a
Is it
generic.
Lisa
It's
Leslie?
no, it's
Or no?
just a
Okay,
generic.
just generic. Okay.
It's not a play. It's not based on a player from the league's history.
Yeah, but much more to come with Tempo. I'm really excited to see
Yeah,
what
I mean,
Portland does as well, right?
yeah. The last thing I'll say is like I know the name got leaked, and that's unfortunate. I don't think they needed to rush the logo and
No.
the colorway. I think they should have held it. I think they should have held it and still released it the way they wanted to. I don't think they because it comes across a bit rushed in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they should have just held it and still did what they wanted to do. I don't think they needed to do that.
Yeah, you're right. And they even had a whole explainer portion
Mhm.
where they were describing how each line meant each borough of the city, and it felt very apologetic. They explained each part of it. It was pathetic. They explained, like you said, they should have just been like, shit, this was leaked, let's just not talk about it, and then done you know done what their original plan was, because it did suck that it was leaked, but then you sort of fell into that shame by trying to apologize and explain your
Mhm.
choices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like telling a joke that's not very funny, and someone asks you to repeat it again. So you're
Oh,
sort of
and it just has diminishing returns.
yeah,
Like,
and you already
no.
know it's not very funny, and you're sort of stuck in this place where you don't want to repeat it, but the person's like, no, 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 what was it? And you're kind of just in this place where you're going to say something that already wasn't funny and
Yeah.
with less confidence and a worse delivery.
I think, as always, you and I came to a place where we are agreeing on a lot of
Mm-hmm.
this because at first, when it was first announced, you, Freddie, were immediately like, I like the name. And I was more apprehensive to like jump on board with the name, but the name, as time went on, started to settle in with me. Because I think at first I was just like, it's two Pacers, like the look and the meaning of the name is two Pacers. So that was like the first thing that threw me off.
Which
But
is true.
yes, it is. And then so that's the thing that I didn't like about it, like first impressions. But I do think over time the name will work. But
Yeah,
I just had that first reaction of being like, I don't like this. Because I said it was two Pacers before I even saw the logo. Or did I wait to see the logo? I don't remember now.
you were the first person, because everyone came online with like, this is Pacers, and I think you said it right away, because it is like the Pacers.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: when it comes to NBA team names, I think the Pacers is one of the best names.
Yeah,
And
it's a good one.
to me, this is just my defiant nature, right? But I think people like predictability. They like to fit in, and they like when they have something that is the same as everybody else's,
Yeah.
right? So when it comes to team names, I feel like that's why we have so many, again, scary names, animal names, tough names, cool names. And it takes a lot for a team to say this is not predictably cool or tough or whatever, but it
Mhm.
is different, right? And I mean, there's a lot of these team names in the W, but another thing that's awesome to me is it doesn't end in the letter S, which so many team names do. It's actually
Mhm.
it's a good trivia question. If you ask someone how many NBA teams end in the letter S, there's only 4. Same with the NHL. In the W, I think there's like 5 or 6, but most team names end in the letter
You mean
S.
there's only 4 that don't end in the
That
letter
don't.
S?
That's right. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very unique thing. Most team names are something like
What
Toronto
are they?
Maple
There's
Leafs.
Jazz,
Yeah,
Heat.
yeah.
Um hmm, what are the others?
One in the East, one in the West.
Uh huh.
One team's a weather phenomenon.
Oh, Thunder. Thank
Yep.
you. And The Eastern team.
People always forget about this team because have a pretty rough history.
Oh, because I'm like, it's not Pistons, it's not Wizards, it's not Hornets.
Yeah, it's one of the other. It's right in there though. It's one of those teams that's always bad. Yeah, they're pretty good right now, but
Can you tell me?
the Orlando Magic.
Magic. Oh, they're good though. They're
Yeah,
not always bad.
well, they're usually pretty bad.
They've been in the finals.
Sure, but that was
They've
I
been in the
believe-
finals twice. They've had two different finals eras, which is more than the Wizards could say.
But I'll say this: if you're Gen Z, you know Shaq as a someone who's a broadcaster, so you probably don't remember the days where the Penny Hardaway and Shaquille O'Neal were.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's fine. You know, I didn't watch basketball during like Bird Magic era, but you know,
it's true.
Okay. Is it time for your fun question?
It's time for the FFQ.
Do we know what it is?
I am trying to remember it. You can see it on my face because we called an audible and we just decided it's the
I have one for you. If you don't remember, I can give you one for the second week in a row.
Wow, I'm dropping the ball. Well, you changed the structure of the question, which was good, which is like the weirdest.
No. Okay, so here's the thing. Freddie was like, he initially gave us a question about reacting to all the team videos. You know, every team does a special video when next season's schedule comes out. But I was like, this is too big of a topic. Like, we can make this its juicy, own topic. Like, we could go on about all these videos. So it's not really an FFQ. So I was like, let's come up with something else and we can save this for another episode. So, and then I think in that time, you haven't come up with something, but I have something for you.
I'm ready.
So, you know, we're talking about the Toronto Tempo, we're talking about the name and this, that, and the other. But because, like you said, it's such a conceptual name, it leaves another very big question. And that is, what is the mascot?
Wow. Huge.
What is the Toronto Tempo mascot?
And do you already have an answer in the bank?
I only have silly, dumb answers. I don't have like a real one.
Well, my wife said that tempo, like what keeps a tempo in music traditionally is it a trombone?
No, it's a trombone.
No, it's like a wind. It's a wind instrument. And this is also, maybe don't use your wife as a reference. You mean
like a metronome?
Well, metronome keeps like, I know that. That's like for recording.
Yeah.
It keeps the pace for.
Yeah, that, yes. That, yeah. There's that.
So I was going to say a trombone because it's like a T, right? T, trombone, music.
No. All right. I got a couple answers for you. And then that'll give you a chance to think about yours. Okay. First one, kind of an obvious one, would be a raccoon.
Okay.
Because Toronto's known for having a ton of raccoons. They take over here. Like they are truly everywhere. They're little garbage pandas. They thrive in our city. I literally cannot take out my garbage or recycling at night because there will be a minimum of 3 raccoons, sometimes 5 or more, around all the bins, and they keep me up at night. Like, it's actually crazy. But yeah, so to me that's like an obvious like Toronto mascot thing. I also thought as something funny, silly, and stupid would be like a conductor, like a musical conductor, but then they like also break dance.
That's incredible. I love that.
Like a break dancing conductor.
That is amazing. Like
and then probably a female one too at that, right? Because it's, you know, a female breakdancing conductor. Lydia Tarr, let's go. For anyone who's watched the movie Tar.
I don't think I'm going to be able to.
That's okay. I sprung this on you.
Think of a better one because there's the musical definition, which is the speed at which a passage of music is or should be played.
Mhm.
And then the second definition is the rate or speed of motion or activity, pace. So, I mean, a lot like the
Yeah, but
pace.
it could be completely random, right? Like
Mhm.
the Orlando Magic mascot is just like a green
Stuff.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's
Its,
literally called Stuff.
its name is Stuff.
Yeah, so it could
So,
be like a random thing, right? Like a raccoon has nothing to do with the word tempo, it just has something to do with the city, right? You could have the tempo T-Rex if you wanted to keep a dinosaur in it, which I don't,
mhm.
but I'm just saying. Yeah, like there's, you know what I mean? Like there's options here. Do you want to be the mascot, Freddie?
Yes, I do, and I should be. So, Engelbert, if you're listening, get me in there.
Yeah, I can't imagine you not being the mascot.
Yeah,
The
so
more I think about it.
I'll be the
Like
first mascot ever
and
with
to
plantar
remind
fasciitis.
listen, diversity matters.
Yeah, listen, you need
And
a mascot that where it hurts to walk.
listen, but do you not get treatments for this?
I do, but it's taken a long time to heal. Okay, so I need a better
Listen,
tempo.
Clay Thompson is playing basketball with plantar fasciitis.
So I just need to be as healthy as Clay coming up.
Well, I'm just saying there's got to be some. The team should pay for you to have a specialist
Yep.
ready to go. I don't know how someone, certain professions, I'm like, I don't know how you got there, right? Like, I don't know how someone decides, like, I'm going to specialize in feet. I'm going to help people's feet. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
something happened in your life that made you decide, like, you're going to help people's feet. You know what I mean? Like, you had, like a parent or grandparent who had bad feet or something, and you cared for them. Like, that's how I feel people end up in these places, but I'm probably overthinking it. Freddie, you could, like, you literally, let's remind our listeners of your qualifications. First of all, you're a professional clown right
Mhm.
there. There's only so many jobs that can lead to,
Yep.
right? So there's that. And you do work at Sick Kids Hospital. However, this is an evenings and weekends job.
Mhm.
And then Sick Kids should offer you more money if you become the official mascot, because then
Yep.
you can be multiple characters there.
Let me in.
The other thing is you teach physical comedy
That's right.
to other aspiring comedians. So I don't even, I do stand up, so I'm not really a physical comedian. I don't even know what that is. You also have a lot of experience in puppetry.
Let me in
Lamb
there.
chop. Shout out Lamb chop.
Shout out Lamb
I
Chop.
remember like probably a decade ago, I saw Freddie do a live show with a lamb chop puppet dancing to Robin's Dancing on My Own. Or was it Call Your Girlfriend?
It was dancing on my own.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is like, Freddie's there. Freddie's not like hiding. Right? Like you were maybe somewhat hiding, but it was like you were clearly in view.
I'm hiding in plain sight.
You're hiding in plain sight. And Lamb Chop is just ripping it. Like Lamb Chop's just going at it. Like you haven't seen puppetry skills like this. Truly.
Cathryn, boosting me up
Like
and
I'm
selling
not
me
one
as the
I'm
mascot.
not one to just watch a dancing puppet and be like, that's hilarious. Okay, I'm a critical viewer of things, which is not great, but it's because I'm a stand-up, I'm a writer, so I'm always kind of like watching things with more of a critical eye.
Mhm.
But you made me laugh with a dancing puppet. And I'm just saying that's not easy to do.
I earned your trust, and this is my way.
You earned my trust.
This is my way in. By the way, if you can, if I could take another leap here, the tempo musical note is a thing. So again, I don't know how much it has to be like.
Put it in the chat. Let me see this.
It's it's like the D. It's sort of like the classic D music notation, where it looks like the letter D, but the black part at the bottom is like full.
All right, I need to see. Whoa, that's a really big link.
It is classic big link.
Which note am I looking at here? There's a lot of notes on this page. You're not talking about the treble clef, are you?
I might be because I don't know music notes well.
Yeah, that's what that is. It's the treble clef.
The one where it says D equals 120?
No, that's something else. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, okay. Listen.
But how is that going to translate into a mascot?
That's for the designers to figure out. That's for the
a mascot?
That's for the mascot team to figure out.
How would you turn that into a mascot?
Get the person in like a tube type thing, and
my God.
have like a big round part at the bottom.
No.
And yeah, it would be pretty bizarre, but like you said,
listen, you're not on the design team for this.
Yeah, I'm out. I just got fired. It's okay.
No, but you would be an excellent mascot. You'd also be an excellent in arena person, like part of the fan team. I don't know what those people are called, like the people in the arena that are like keeping you entertained, running experience. The little fan experience person, ops, right? Like maybe doing like the little contests with the audience members and things like that. You would also be excellent at that because you've done that for Family Feud Canada. You know how to interact with strangers in a way that like would terrify most people.
When I need to pitch myself for this job, I'm just going to cut this segment of our podcast.
Here's the thing. Hire me as your agent.
Done.
And I'll take a small percentage.
Done.
But small. I'm not going to rip you off.
Thank you.
I'll just reinvest my percentage into the podcast.
So, Engelbert, you heard that. Get a hold of us, but please get a hold of my agent first.
Yeah, get a hold of me.
Everything goes through Cathryn.
And I'll arrange it because I'm probably better at that. Yeah. I don't know what I would do for the team. I want to be like the in-arena announcer. I want to be like, even though I don't know if I have that kind of voice, I just think it would be a cool job. Right?
Courtside interviews, you'd be great. There's a lot of parts of the team.
Sabrina Ionescu, shooting 2.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Right? Like, that's what I want to do.
And then I'd be like, Sabrina Ionescu, kablamo!
Oh my God. I mean, it would be great if we were both the broadcasters. I would be the play-by-play, I think, and you would be the extra commentary.
Yeah, I think that's I think they should have us both interview players and coaches sideline.
No, I don't want to interview people. That terrifies. I don't want to do that.
Hello, Courtney Williams. Are you a point guard?
Yeah, that I don't want to do. I feel like, that I don't want to do. I think that's actually a tough job. And I don't know how they come up with their questions. They're always asking very technical questions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't, like, who's feeding that to them? Like, how are you getting these, like, stats on the fly? Like, is there, like, a producer, like, telling them, like, this is what you're going to ask so-and-so? Like, I don't know how they do it.
These are valid concerns.
That's why Holly Rowe is so great. Because she's doing that walking in, like, heels. Which that alone is a mission. Like, I'm not a heels girl.
Hashtag give Holly a raise.
Love Holly. Would love to meet Holly. I think I would really like geek out over meeting Holly Rowe.
Dream guess, Holly, Ruko.
Oh, Ruko. I would die if Ruko was on this podcast. I'd be like, how did you become such a good guy?
And he would just be like, and then he'd be like, good. And he'd be like, oh, you just say that for everything? And he'd be like, is good. That's why he's a professional.
Oh, God. And then he's just like, you bet.
Yeah, you bet.
Oh, my God.
He only speaks in his taglines?
Oh, my God. I saw he did an episode of the Hoop Collective, Brian Windhorst's podcast. He was excellent on it.
I bet.
Awesome. But anyway, all right, we should probably wrap it up there. Another programming note, we're going to take some time off here on the show. I'm going to Italy next week, which is really exciting. Freddie, you're going to LA. Tell us about what's your LA trip about?
I'm going to see my my brother-in-law and his son. uh, and my son's cousin on that side, and they were born 2 days apart. So this is their first time meeting each other.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's
That's
gonna be
really.
awesome.
Are you going to be there over Christmas?
No, it's a crazy short trip. Going there for 4 days, including 2 travel days.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really short.
Yeah,
But still nice that you're doing that. And then yeah, I'm gone for a week, but then, we have Christmas and New Year's and it's just a very busy time for us. We also, like we said, we're on the hunt for new social media coordinators, so please let us know if either yourself or somebody who's interested. It would be part-time, whatever, just helping us grow the show. We appreciate it a lot. So yeah, we're gonna be back on January 6th. So that's a Monday. We'll record that episode on the 5th, catch up on our break, see what's happening with Unrivaled, talk about these videos. We're gonna save that because it's a bit evergreen. Save those videos for then. Maybe we'll do Freddie's fun question about those videos then. So yeah, that's what's happening with the show. Thank you again, everyone, for listening, for watching on YouTube, for liking us, for supporting us. It's been an incredible year for us at the
crazy year.
pickup. Major, major growth for us. So, like we interviewed the prime minister this year. We got a social media coordinator this year. I mean, we have grown so much and we are so, so grateful. Like, we do this podcast because we love it. We love talking about this league. We love watching this league grow. We love us basically growing with the league. That's really what it's been. And, it's all thanks to everyone who listens to us. So, we appreciate you so much. We hope you have an excellent holiday season. Spend time with your loved ones, all that good stuff. If you get presents, we hope Santa's good to you. Anything you'd like to add to that, Freddie?
No, you nailed it. Thank you so much, everyone. Shout out Santa. And yeah, it's been an awesome year. So make sure to follow us in the new year, and we're gonna keep it going, keep growing. So yeah, spread the word, and shout out to everybody.
Yes, thank you again, and we'll see you in the new year.
Peace, everybody.
Bye.